Reconvene the meeting of the St. Mary's County Board of Education for Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. If we could all please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move approval of the agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Dr. Smith, we will begin with you.
All right, well, let's see how we do with this. We have some embedded technology in the presentation that may or may not work exactly as we want it to, so we shall see. There has been a lot that has gone on since we met in July. This is one of the most active times of the school year and one of the very best times of the school year as well for everybody coming together. We finished all of our youth sports academies. That was our first real active partnering with Park and Recs. All the 12 sports, field hockey and basketball girls and boys and lacrosse and golf and cheer and volleyball and cross country and soccer and baseball, all of these things that were done. We had over 300 third to eighth grade students participating in sports academies over the summer. A really great first year out. This is something that we want to see grow each year because there's nothing better for children to do in the summer than to get outside and interact with others and play a little sports. And here are just all kinds of wonderful pictures of them engaged in all the activities. Some of those days were quite hot, but there were lots of smiles on faces. Work over the summer. We have 28 different school sites as well as offices and all the other things. All of that gets attention throughout the summer. We go on a compressed work week for 4 weeks where we work 10-hour days, Monday through Thursday, and in those 10-hour days, it's amazing how much is accomplished. So everything from deep cleaning all of our rooms, to scrubbing and waxing all of our floors, to touching up paint, to taking care of all of the things that needed to get taken care of over the summer. Can't say enough about the Division of Supporting Services, maintenance and operations, really making sure that everything gets done. Larger projects, Margaret Brent, we finished all of the painting after going through a couple of different contractors. Looks great. A fresh coat of paint is is fantastic. We did the floor replacement at Margaret Brent and Leonardtown Middle and Esperanza Middle. Beautiful. When you go in, it just pops. They look fantastic. Leonardtown, a generator replacement for those of you who know how disruptive it can be when you have interrupted power. Very important. Benjamin Bannock, our Early Childhood Center, replaced all the carpets down there. It's amazing. Almost 8,500 work requests in addition to managing all the other things that are going on. Title I Summer Learning and Fun. These are all of the activities that they did, including the Olympics. They had their own Title I Summer Olympics, and they had a closing ceremony. It's just a great opportunity for all the kids to come together. Again, get out, get active, and interact with one another. Last week, oh my gosh, just last week, we brought in all of our new teachers. We're closing in on almost 100 new teachers who've been hired so far. The very first day, the first 2 days, Monday and Tuesday before their very first day in their classrooms, we had demonstration classrooms. Teachers could volunteer to go in and spend the day with the demo squad who were showing them how we do things in St. Mary's County, what a third grade, fifth grade, middle school classroom looks like, and really walking them through. And we had a lot of people that participated in the demonstration classrooms. Those are very successful. Thank you very much for coordinating all of that. The first day of their orientation last week, 7 days ago, day one, we reorganized things. We used to have them all come together and give them a big rah-rah, whatever. Now, after listening to them, they just want to really be in their schools. And they want to see where their classroom's going to be, and they want to start thinking about how they're going to organize, personalize their space so that it can be the most educational, engaging environment that they can have. So the very first day, these are all at the Captain Walter Francis Duke, and they're getting into their new spaces and their new classrooms, and then they had bathtub reading time, I guess, in the media center. They had a lot of fun. A great first day of school. And then on day 2, we welcomed them, gathered them all together. We were joined by Karen Bailey, who gave warm words of welcome. And then we also have Commissioner Eric Colvin, who came and greeted them as well, talked a little bit about what makes St. Mary's County so special and his deep love for and appreciation for St. Mary's County Public Schools, as he is a graduate and now with a child attending the charter school, a consumer of our product. Great day, great day. And again, here they all are. All of these pictures were taken by Miss Mary Washington. So thank you very much for being our historian. If you don't follow Mrs. Washington on Facebook, you are missing out. And they're great. Really, really, really good energy. Every year we say that there's good energy, but this year in particular, a lot of people really, really excited and happy to be with St. Mary's County Public Schools and starting their years with us. This week we had the transportation drivers and attendants in service at Chapacabra High School on Monday. We had we had the dry run yesterday. I hadn't heard anything, so it must have been great. What a great group all together talking about, again, we drive over 4 million miles with children on buses, and we're going to be, I know they're on the consent agenda, we're talking about that as well. We're joined by, can't say enough. What a great group, and they are here for it. If you find yourself at home and you're like, man, I really need something to do, I'd like to participate in a great school system, I'd like to be part of it. The good news is we still have opportunities for you, and maybe not in the classroom. Support professionals, boy, if you've ever thought about becoming a paraeducator, we have 12.5 spots for you all across the system in a whole bunch of different varieties. It's available to you. We need some building service assistant managers and workers. We need 1 bus driver, 1 bus assistant, only 2 safety and security assistants, food service workers, much fewer than before. Maintenance worker, media clerk, career advisors, secretaries, about 3 throughout the system. They're all on our website. Big red button, hit it and take a look at it. For teaching vacancies, this is the best shape we have been in since the middle of the pandemic. It's not perfect. It's not exactly where we'd like to be, but I cannot say enough for the work that has gone on in human resources to be out there recruiting, drawing people in, to bridging them between outside of St. Mary's County and into St. Mary's County, and all of our school-based staff who's conducting interviews and making recommendations, as well as finance and IT and security to bring on all of these people. We need 3 more positions in special education. That's an enviable number, by the way. 1 social studies, 1 English, 2 math, 1 art, 1 science. So, we've pretty much got it all covered. If you're, English, math, science, social studies, art, we have an opportunity for you. Come take a look. At this point, a bachelor's degree in a related career field can start you on your teaching career with St. Mary's County for these last few positions. School psychologist, always a challenge. Speech language pathologist, we've never filled all those positions. Occupational therapist, CTE education, in-school intervention, and a BCBA. So we are in the best shape we've been in for a while. Our anxiety level is the lowest it's been for this, but we're still working every single day. And if somebody's out there and they're interested in St. Mary's County Public Schools, please take the time and give us a look. Reach out to us. If you're thinking about back to school, all you have to do is smcps.org. Just type in SMCPS and it'll pretty much take you there. In our slider, one of the big sliders is back to school. Once you click on that back to the school, we've set up an entire landing page with all the information you could possibly need to know for where all things are relative to St. Mary's County Public Schools. And back to school, obviously, here we are. We start on the 21st. All of the open houses are all listed. All of the materials that you might need for your kids are listed. The big thing is it's all gathered together in one simple place. So here we are in August. Oh my gosh, I haven't been adding my check marks. We've already had the new teacher orientation. We already had the bus drivers meetings. We got through yesterday with the dry run. Today is the Board of Ed meeting. All the teachers are in schools today.
Welcome back.
welcome back to all of our teachers. And what we've worked with our association is the very first day of school. They're just like the first day with the new teachers. They want to get back to the school buildings and be left alone and go right to their classrooms and start organizing their space. And so that's exactly what's going on today across all of our schools. Athletics starts as well today. So going to be tryouts. Yes.
Dun, dun, dun.
Done. Yes. So a beautiful, cool, sunny day. Great. We've had some of these, triple-digit days to start, and we're good. Mr. Watson is back there shaking his head, so I know it's a good deal. Okay. We haven't even loaded September. So with that,
Hi, everybody.
Hannah Heisler.
Oh. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me back again. So this month, I've been up to a lot of activities in my official capacity as student member of the board, which has been really exciting. But first and foremost, I attended the Maryland Association of Student Councils advanced training, which is a workshop presenter certification. So this was a 2-day overnight trip, and that helped me be certified to present workshops. So I will be presenting a workshop at the Fall Leadership Conference for the Maryland Association of Student Councils. But this knowledge on how to present a good workshop is also applicable to the county, specifically the county level at student government. St. Mary's Association of Student Councils presents workshops at each of their General Assembly meetings, and there are 4 throughout the year. So I'm excited to take this knowledge back to the St. Mary's Association of Student Councils. And I mean here as well, presenting is obviously something that I'm working on here. And then I also presented my regional report at the Maryland Association of Student Councils Executive Board meeting. So this meant that I delivered a 1-minute report on how St. Mary's County is doing to the state level, which was awesome because then people all over the state can hear what we're doing and what we're up to, specifically on the student government side. And then I can also gain new ideas from what people around the state are doing. And additionally, 2 days ago, I attended the Maryland Association of Boards of Education student member of the board training, which was awesome because I met with all of the student member of the boards from across the state, except for I think like 1 or 2. And it was super great to meet everybody. Everybody was super nice, and I loved getting to hear exactly what other regions are doing because that's super important. And I loved getting to hear more about MABE because I feel like it's very applicable to my work in this position, and it helps me be better qualified to serve you all. And I really did love hearing what everybody else is up to. I did notice that we are the only region, I think, that does school visits. So that's really awesome and speaks volumes to the support of the Board of Education and the superintendent for letting me do those things, because I think it truly raises awareness to all students around the county on what the position is. I know when I was in 4th grade, Miss Mary Washington visited my school, and I still remember that and have fond memories. So I really hope that the students I visit have fond memories as well, and they can keep the position in the back of their minds, and hopefully run, because the more people that run, the more qualified our student member of the board candidate is. And I've also started networking with student member of the boards across the state. We're all following each other on social media. I'm seeing what everybody's up to, and that's awesome because I really look forward to working with these people in the future. Next, I also work to finalize our agenda for the Superintendent's Student Leadership Advisory Council, which is awesome. So this means that this is going to be my platform for when I go to all of the school visits and when I go to Slack meetings. And so the main thing that I want to focus on is how to hear properly. So here is sort of an acronym. So the H is for being here. So that means that you're present, you are understanding what's happening, you are actively engaged, which brings us to the next letter, which is engaged. And so that means that you're truly listening to understand, you're being respectful, you're being ready to learn. But a big piece of this is also our A, which is being approachable. So not only can you listen, but you also want to be someone that people come to listen. And I think this is something I work on as student member of the board, and something that a lot of teachers and people on the board work on too, which is being approachable, is being someone that people can come to when they have to tell you things, and being a good listener and understanding their perspective and listening to understand and not to respond. And then the R stands for being renewed, which means that, like, what do you need to be renewed? What do you need to be ready to learn each day? And so it's kind of a mental health piece, but also how can I forget maybe the things that I'm worried about at home and the things that I'm worried about on my phone to truly be present and be here in this moment. So that's something that I want to impart on all of our elementary school students. I am visiting every elementary school September through February, which is super exciting, and I'm really excited to do that.
Yeah, and I will tell you, so I previewed SMCPS We Here with our new teachers to talk about how important it is to be physically present, to be engaged and connected with one another, to be approachable and open. And then ultimately, at the end of it, the whole reason why we exist as human beings is because we are social creatures, and our interactions with one another should be renewing and refreshing and all the R words. And they were very receptive. They really enjoyed it. It prompted some great conversations. So I think we're going to have a lot of fun doing our school visits to all 19 elementary school sites. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, it definitely will be fun. And so for the Superintendent Student Leadership Committee, Advisory Committee, I've planned on helping our high schools get more involved and get ready to, meet the meetings, because we are having 4 high school meetings throughout the year, but we want to get each school's committee sort of up and running first. So we will be visiting each high school to help SLAC get running, as well as holding steering committee meetings to help plan for those 4 meetings and understand what the students want to get out of those meetings. That way I can best serve that and best deliver that. And additionally, we will be bringing back the middle school SLAC, which is awesome. So this year there will be 2 middle school meetings. So I know for me personally, I went to a middle school SLAC meeting, I think in 6th grade, and I met the student member of the board there, and that I feel like that inspired me to be in this position. So I feel like that's an awesome opportunity for middle schoolers. And I am going to follow this sort of here curriculum, but it's going to be more age relevant, not elementary school based, but how can we apply this to middle school and high school knowledge. And so lastly, I want you all to know that I am a resource for you, for all students. And so if you ever have anything that you need to contact me about, my email is hdheisler@smcps.org, and my Instagram is at smcps_smob, and I'm posting a lot of updates on there. I actually just posted, I think, 2 days ago, so I'm keeping everything updated on there, but yeah.
Very nice. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you. All right, today we have no recognitions, any public comment?
We do have 2 public comment. Please forgive me if I don't mispronounce your name. Joe Isaiah Aneza Nakusi.
Okay, I have to read the statement, and then you can go to the podium. So the board welcomes public input on policies and issues affecting our schools. We take this time to listen and consider, but not to comment. This is not the appropriate forum for negative comments or criticisms of individual staff or students. Concerns about individual staff members that cannot be resolved at the level closest to the situation should be directed to the superintendent. Please keep in mind the board also sits as an appellate body in both student and employee appeals. We cannot comment on or have prior knowledge of a case that might influence our ability to deliberate. Speakers must sign at the beginning of the meeting. You have 3 minutes per speaker. You may not yield your time to someone else, and Ms. Short keeps the timer. So.
Hi, my name is Jordacia Nakuzi, and I am proposing that flag football become a high school sport in St. Mary's County. There are already multiple flag football teams in this county at the club level, so there are girls who would want to do this and are incoming freshmen, like me. There are also 4 counties in Maryland who have started girls flag football in their high schools: Montgomery, Washington, Baltimore City, and Frederick. Frederick was the first school system to have a program. This proposal is also aided by the support from the Baltimore Ravens and Under Armour. They have committed grant money to all these counties and custom uniforms for the players. Flag football is a growing sport. According to the International Federation of American Football, 2.4 million kids under 17 are playing flag football in the U.S. This number will also increase because of the addition of flag football to the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. It is also getting attention at the collegiate level, with the National Association of Intercollegiate Athletics, NAIA, declaring women's flag football as an emerging sport. Additionally, the Atlantic East Conference, a Division II conference, announced its plan to be the first NCAA conference to offer varsity women's flag football in spring of 2025. I just started flag football, but I would love to see the sport grow in my community and at my new high school, Leonardtown. I moved to this area in November of last year and started school here in January. I would love to be an inspiration to young girls in this area that you can achieve whatever you put your mind to. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love flag football.
Our second speaker is Ms. Sarah Penrod.
Good morning. Sarah Penrod, East Mc President. We are very excited to welcome back our 10-month staff today. And whether they are excited or not, we look forward to our students next week. We do have a lot of work to get done this year, lots of joint committees to participate in, and we'll be looking for, member participation in all of that. But today I really wanted to give a shout out to the staff that have been working all summer. We focus on teachers and support professionals that are 10-month a lot, but we forget all the work that goes on behind the scenes all summer with our support professionals, our custodians, that work super hard to get our schools ready for our staff and students to return. So I just wanted to say thank you, and I hope that you all send a lot of appreciation their way as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Today's consent agenda consists of the approval of minutes of July 17, 2024, personnel teachers, personnel administrative and supervisory, purchase of instructional materials and professional development from Conscious Discipline Holdings LLC, textbook and instructional materials for English language arts, request for commissioning increase for the systemic HVAC renovation at Piney Point Elementary School, Great Mills High School temporary chiller, St. Mary's County School Bus Contractors Health and Welfare Trust for 2024-2025, and the purchase of cafeteria tables from School Specialty LLC. With that, I move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. We have 2 action items this morning. The first one is Mr. Thompson with our bus contracts.
All right, good morning.
Good morning.
It's the start of the school year, so you know what time it is. It's time to approve the school bus contracts and the payment formula for the new school year. So today I'm here to request the approval of the bus contractor agreement and the spare bus agreement for the 24-25 school year. This year we'll have 41 school bus contractors. Currently they have 164 regular route buses, 29 special needs route buses, and 51 spare school buses. There is some conversation amongst contractors about getting a few more spare buses because that's a little bit less than what we normally have. But if that does come up, we'll bring that back. I do want to make a quick comment about our school bus contractors. We have a fantastic group of bus contractors, and I'd recommend when you go to your future meetings coming up with your other school boards around the state, you can inquire and ask them about how their bus contractors are doing and how their situations are, and you can get a little perspective on their situation and what they're in. One item that I think we should be especially grateful for here in the county is that we have a group of contractors that we're seeing some good succession planning and some good people coming in that are taking over companies from their parents or friends or whatnot, that they're taking over and coming in. And so these are situations where it will have a progression and continuation of service that we can see for a long time. And I think if you find, this is something that came up a lot last year from other counties, is they are not seeing that. They are seeing a lack of people wanting to come in to be school bus contractors, and they're very concerned about the future of their setup of having a contractor business model. And so there's a lot of questions about that statewide, but here we're seeing a lot of people coming in that want to be contractors, that are taking over businesses, family businesses, and so we see that good continuation of service continuing on under our current model. For this year, we have 12 replacement school buses, which is a little bit lighter than a normal year. Half of those are special needs buses and half of those are regular route buses. We have 24 buses that have completed their first 6 years and now are entering their second set of 6 years, so we'll do a new contract for those. The 51 spare bus agreements, and we do have one new contractor that's changed, one contractor that's changed ownership. For our contractor formula this year, so the PVA, we've seen a big increase in the PVA this year for those buses coming in, but we do have relatively few buses. A couple of factors, the prime rate went up significantly again last year because of a lot of the inflationary items drove that. And then the bus prices went up significantly last year, and we knew it was coming, and then it's gonna continue to go up in 2027. There's a big EPA, requirements that are gonna, again, drastically change bus engines, which then will, I'm sure, increase the cost more. And then there's the ever-looming electrical bus issue that's out there, which those buses are over twice the amount of our current diesel and gas buses. Moving on for more formula items. So the hourly service payments to contractors have increased this year to $29.22 plus the 26.5 fixed rate, and the $23.76 for the attendant service rate plus the 26.5 fixed cost. The maintenance rate increased by 9 cents per mile. The retention payments this year have moved into the formula. Previously, they were under the ESSER grant, and this year they're under our budget. Operations payment, that's an increase of $203, and the stipend payments increased as well. So with that, I'd ask the Board of Education please approve the bus contractor agreements for the 24-25 school year.
Any
I'll
questions?
take any questions.
Anyone?
The 29-22 rate, is that fully loaded rate for hourly payments?
So that's the rate, 29.22 plus 26.5% is the amount that the contractors are paid for their service, their hourly service.
All right, that answers that. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Thank you. How much does a regular gas fuel bus cost? Would it 66 passenger? How much does that cost now?
The current buses we do, they're 72 passenger capacity buses, and they're right about $150,000.
Wow.
But that's up. I mean, they went up over 20. I mean, they went up over $20,000 without doing anything from last year. Zero changes, and they just went up that amount, and they're expected to keep going up. I mean, everything, especially since COVID, as we've seen, a lot of the market supply has just been a challenge. And then we're seeing also delays in receiving buses, and you might have seen the big thing with Montgomery County talking about their electric buses, but the same thing's happening in the other buses too, with diesels and gas buses, that they're just seeing a lot of delays. You can order a bus a year and a half out, and it'll still be delayed from getting in. So a lot of challenges.
Is that with air conditioning or without?
We require full air conditioning on all of our buses.
That's great. Okay.
Yes, we're, I mean, at a point we have like our special needs buses now, we're turning over those, and we've reached the point to where every one of them have air conditioning. They all have their 3-point seat belts, integrated child seats on the special needs buses. So it's, we've made it this far because you kind of have to piecemeal them in every year. And so now they all have them for the special needs buses. And almost all the regular route buses have air conditioning, but there's a few out there that don't.
Also, I want to thank you for choosing St. Mary's County. You're a graduate of the school system, and you graduated from
Leonardtown High School.
Leonardtown High School, and now in charge of transportation.
Yeah.
That's a testimony to the good education that you received at St. Mary's County, so you could go on to further education and come back and work for us. So
Excellent education.
thank you very
Dr.
much.
Smith was a teacher at the school when I was there.
He just,
Yes.
Jeff really liked his bus ride. He liked the bus rides to school.
Thank you.
Dr. Smith had a lot of current folks. Commissioner Colvin commented.
You stick around long enough, yes. And Mr. Thompson's wife as well. A
Yes.
brilliant student. Yeah.
No.
Just one thing for you, sort of a nod to perhaps part of the reason for the significant cost of buses as well as the difficulty in obtaining them. How many manufacturers actually build and supply buses?
Yeah, currently, for the conventional type C buses, the normal buses you see, there's only 3 that provide diesel-powered school buses. And so there are only 3 that are approved in the state of Maryland, and that's pretty much nationwide. There are a number of new electric manufacturers that are trying to come in nationwide, but they don't meet all the things. But for diesel, it's 3 manufacturers nationwide.
No, I'm sure that has a great deal to do with not only supply and demand, but cost.
Yes.
So, thank you.
And I would just add, I guess, the cost of fuel, it varies quite a bit. It's down a little bit. Are you experiencing that the market price of diesel is down from what it was this time last year?
Yeah, yes, it has gone down from where it was, and we did see a decrease throughout the year last year, which was a pleasant surprise, I think, for all of us. I mean, from what we saw prior to that it would just skyrocket. It went almost to $6 a gallon, which
Right.
I think most of us probably never thought we'd see $6 a gallon for fuel, but that's what, for here in Maryland, but that's where it was. But last year, yes, it came down, and it kind of has stabled off towards the end of last year and into this year. So hopefully we continue to see that, which is beneficial for, I think, most of our economy to have a stable fuel supply. So we'll keep our fingers crossed for that.
May I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve the bus contractor agreement and spare bus agreement for the 24-25 school year as detailed on the list provided by staff.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you very
Thank you.
much. All right, next up we have Dr. Beavers and Mr. Watson with stadium light replacements.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. So we are here to present to you on LED stadium lighting for Great Mills High School and Chaptacon High School. So we are asking that the Board of Education approve the usage of Keystone Purchasing Network Contract KPN 201901-01 toward Musco Sports Lighting LLC to perform the stadium lights replacement at Great Mills High School in the amount of $225,000 and a construction contingency of $13,000, and Chaptacon High School in the amount of $200,000 and a construction contingency of $12,000. The contract, the current KPN contract, is valid through February 28th, 2025. As you can see, we have some current lighting issues across our stadiums. The existing stadium lighting at Great Mills High School was installed in 1997. And at Chaptacon in the year 2000. They have essentially exceeded their life expectancy. So you can see there's, in the bottom right-hand corner, we have a lot of lights that go out. These lights are difficult to find. They are difficult to replace, obviously. We have to wait, or it is cost-effective for us to wait until several lights are out on each stadium or each post before we send someone up in a boom truck to replace those lights. So it is also a dangerous undertaking that some of our maintenance guys partake in over the years. So this project is incorporated into our local CIP, and if approved today, we would move forward after the fall season. There's just a picture example there. As you can see, the picture on my right is Leonardtown High School, and the picture on the left is Great Mills High School. Leonardtown High School was replaced with LED lights in 2020. And currently Great Mills High School and Chaptacon High School have metal halide lights. With this potential shift to LEDs, we worked out with Musco some upfront savings through rebates through SMECO that Musco is submitting on our behalf and giving us that forward pricing on that. expecting that rebate. This would cut energy costs up to 80% of the light usage at both schools. Typically, there's a 50 to 60% cost savings, but it does indicate from Musco that 80% savings could be reached. The average is around 50 to 60%. It does reduce the spill light glare by 50% or more. If you can look at the two pictures, you see Leonardtown, the lights point more in a downward motion, and you can see Great Mills, you see the big glare coming from across the field in the lights there. You can certainly see the difference in the brightness of Leonardtown High School versus Great Mills as well. And both would come with a 10-year warranty at Chopticon and at Great Mills.
So you noticed on the first slide there was a little bit of a cost adjustment between the two schools. Mainly that for that reason is Great Mills, because of the posts that are installed at that location, there's some retrofitting that needs to be done. So if you look at that top of that illustration, you see the bracket that goes across that has the arms that holds the LED lights. We had to include those in the purchase in order to retrofit those LED lights. So that's pretty much the biggest cost difference in the two. In the Chopticon, you'll notice in the illustration, we're only purchasing the lights there, so they only have to install the lights because they already have the Musco poles. One of the, in addition to the cost savings and the LED and the brightness and the spill, these will also be tied into our BAS system, so we'll be able to schedule on and off. And they are, there's an app. You can actually, if for whatever reason you're at the stadium, the lights aren't on, whoever has control of the app on their smartphone can illuminate the stadium lights. So that's a convenient, feature.
I'll need that app.
You'll need that, yeah. I think everybody who might be at the stadium.
3 in the morning, just want to play a quick game.
You know, if the lights go off in the middle of the game, though.
That would be. I wouldn't be. I'm not there. All right, maybe
that's a lot of responsibility.
Maybe I shouldn't get the app.
Yeah.
On second thought.
It's a lot of liability.
Right. Got it.
Board policy DJC obviously allows for the use of cooperative contracts and permitted by the state. So in this particular case, we use the KPN Keystone Purchasing Network contract, of which Musco participates in. And Musco Sports Lighting, you've probably heard about them before. I know Parks and Rec, our Rec and Parks uses them. Calvert's Rec and Park uses them. Been in business since '76. I've outlined a few projects that they've done in that bottom bullet. They did Leonardtown High School in 2000. A ton of sporting events, as you can see in that last bullet. You know, local Little League ballparks to, you know, the Dubai Autodrome. I mean, so they've done it all. U.S. Open tennis, that's just a tiny event. So they were part of that, right? So a well-known company. And we ask that the Board of Education approve this agenda item as presented.
Any questions?
Just a comment. I think it's a no-brainer. 80% less energy costs and better illumination. So that's all a comment I have.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that Mike touched on too is, you know, when we have a bank of lights out, I mean, if you've ever seen one of our guys in that bucket, I mean, those are up there. It's finding someone who will go up there and do that is the first challenge. But it is a safety issue, and with these LED lights in a 10-year warranty, they already know that they're not going to have to be replaced unless it's a, you know, just some other kind of electrical issue. They're not going to have to be replaced. So.
And to piggyback off of that, the light expectancy of the lights before anyone would ever have to go up there, but barring an issue, is 40 years.
Wow.
So it's over 60,000 to 75,000 light hours within those lights that they would put up. So.
Okay. Right, Dorothy, any questions?
No, I agree with Jim. It's a no-brainer. Very good.
Kathy, Mary?
Thank you.
And you put a wonderful presentation together. I mean, you put us at the stadium. We can see the lights. You know, there's no glare. And it's safe for our employees. It saves us money. And it'll be a better experience for the players and the audience. I think this is great. And so we're going to have lighting like the Dubai Autodrome, the Grand Prix circuit lighting, right?
Well, we already have it at Leonardtown. Now
Wow.
we have the other two places.
Wow,
So.
thank you. Wow, this is going to be wonderful. Thank you. I love your presentations. Thanks to the both of you.
thank you for bringing this forward, and especially for the cost savings that we will recognize.
Right, can I have a motion?
I move that the Board of Education approve the contract award to Musco Sports Lighting LLC for the stadium lights replacement / upgrade at Great Mills High School in the amount of $225,000 and a construction contingency of $13,000, and Chopticon High School in the amount of $200,000 and a construction contingency of $12,000.
Second, anyone?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Just out of curiosity, will it be Musco staff who are making these changes and scaling or going up in the bucket?
Yes.
Or will it be our staff?
It will not be our staff. So Musco will do, based on our meeting, Musco will do the light replacements themselves personally at Chopticon, but since they have to remove the old GE arms at Great Mills High School to put their arms up there, they will probably contract that with one of their contractors,
Great, thank you.
but not us.
Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, we have two informational items this morning. First is an update on the implementation of cell phones in schools. Dr. Farrell and Ms. Long.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
We are back before you, this time to give you an update on the implementation for cell phones in schools. Dr. Farrell and I, sorry, Dr. Farrell is joining me this morning. So we are looking at the survey. After we last were before you July 17th for our first presentation, and just after that meeting, we pushed our survey out once again, and we got additional responses. For staff, we had an additional, just about under 500 more responses from staff members. Student responses, an additional 500 student responses, and about 1,800 more parent responses for our survey. So you see the updated data before you. Most of it consistent with what we had before. Most of the parent responses came from parents that had students in the high school. And student responses, mostly our high school students and staff, again, a little higher at the high school. Consistent with what we saw with our first round of responses, of those high school students that responded, 67% said that they use their cell phone every day in school. And in middle school, 30% of those responses were everyday users. And Dr. Farrell will walk us through additional data from the surveys.
So again, the same information that we saw previously, we're seeing again that students are really using their cell phones mostly for texting during the school day, which probably is not an instructional opportunity for students, so they're kind of missing out on the instruction that we're delivering every day. And then you see other things, browsing the internet, playing games on social media, which we all know can be harmful as well, texting or taking photos or videos of other people in the school building, other students, listening to music, or calling people. So we can see that there's not really an instructional focus on why students are using their cell phones during the day.
Can I, one quick question. These results are cumulative, right?
Correct.
For
Yes.
in total, they're not just,
No.
what, the
They're
second
all of it
round?
so far.
Okay,
We got about 5,000 responses overall, and so this
I
is
gotcha.
breaking it down. Yep.
just making sure everyone's aware.
So this slide, we asked, do we think that cell phones should be used during the instructional day? Of course, students are overwhelmingly saying yes, please don't take our cell phones away. But parents and staff are definitely saying no, that there's really not an opportunity for students to use cell phones in schools. Asking, do we believe that this is a distraction in our classrooms? You can see parents believe that it is a distraction, staff believe it's a distraction, and students think maybe sometimes. Again, I think that's just trying to make sure that they can kind of keep the hold on that cell phone. Do we believe that cell phones have a positive impact on education in schools? And we see that the majority of students think that well, maybe, not sure. Again, parents and staff, you can see like they're tuned in to this, and they understand that there's really not a positive impact for students to have cell phones in schools. For the next slide, when we think about if there's a negative impact on students' social interactions, even the students here can pinpoint that, yeah, that being on their cell phones is affecting their ability to interact socially among their peers within the school building. Again, staff and parents, you can see they really agree that the cell phones are taking away from that social interaction that students have. And when we asked about restricting cell phone use in schools, students, staff, and parents, they all say that there should be restrictions put in place on the opportunity for students to use cell phones in our schools. So going back to the plan that we shared back in July, administrators will be able to use their phones as needed to operate the buildings, be in constant communications with all the different offices and things that they need to effectively run their schools. Staff, we're only asking staff not to use their cell phones while they're in front of students, while they're teaching or working with students. You know, put your cell phone away, do what you're there to do. And, you know, if you need to use your cell phone during your lunch or planning or break times, okay, no problem. It's when you're in front of students that we're asking you to refrain from using your cell phone in front of students.
And for high school students, phones are often away during the instructional day. They will be able to use their phones during one lunch. After one lunch is over, the phones go off and away again for the remainder of the day. For middle school students, off and away the entire day, not allowed during recess or lunch, but they can access their phone after the school day. In elementary students, we are really discouraging them from bringing their phones to school, as they need to be off and away the entire school day as well. When students walk back into their classrooms this year, they're going to see posters that look like this. This one is for high school. It's very clear. We want to give clear guidelines, clear messages to our students when they're in the building. So this example right here is for high school, that yes, they can use the phone before school and after school and during that 1 hour lunch, but not during instructional time, not in the hallways. And of course, in accordance with the Code of Conduct, there are other reasons for them not to be using their phone, recording, photographing others in other ways. In our middle schools, those students are going to be seeing these posters in their classrooms, that they can use the phone before school and after school, but again, not at all during the school day for them, not during instructional time. They cannot have it out at lunch or recess or in the hallways, and again, consistent with the Code of Conduct. And even for our elementary students, we just want to remind them how important it is, if they are choosing to bring a phone to school, that it needs to be off and away for the entire school day.
So we have been communicating this plan. We've had a lot of conversations about it. Of course, we presented to you on July 17th, the initial plan and what we were thinking of going forward with. We've had the work group meet during the month of June. We've sent the survey out. We've sent the survey out again. We've reinforced to staff, students, and parents to complete the survey, which you can see that they did. Our local newspapers have picked up the stories and have run with it. It's been out on our Facebook page. We've seen some chatter back and forth on Facebook, or at least I have, about, you know, parents and staff and students all chiming in with their thoughts on this. And then, of course, the superintendent's message, and in a little bit we're going to see the video from Dr. Smith that's going to be shared out as well. And so we've been working with our school administrators as well on plans for them to continue the messaging out to staff and students and parents. They are going to be putting messages in their school messenger and their s'mores. When we have parents in for open houses next week, they're going to be sharing this information with them. They've been working with the new PA systems on having automated messages that'll go out every morning during the morning announcements. It'll be in the student code of conduct, the student handbook, and as Ms. Long shared, the posters that we've been working on, they're going to be in our schools as well.
So what does it look like? What will the response be to inappropriate mobile phone use? If that occurs in the classroom, the teacher will contact administration. That administrator or designee will report to the classroom, ask the student to come out in the hall. They'll ask the student to turn their phone off at that time and confiscate the phone, and it will be locked in a secure location in the administrative office. In hallways, if students have phones out in the hallways, staff are expected, as they're out in the hallways monitoring, staff are expected to remind students to put those phones away. An administrator will confiscate that phone if they see it out in the hallway, and again, they will ask the student to turn it off and put it in a secure location in the administrative office. The Student Code of Conduct has been revised for Code 802, Inappropriate Use of Personal Electronics, which is the unauthorized or inappropriate use of any electronic device carried, worn, or transported by a student on school property to receive or communicate messages. So it's important to know what the devices include when we talk about personal electronics. They include, but not limited to, mobile phones, which are smartphones and our traditional cell phones, tablets, wireless audio devices, our earbuds, our headsets, and our speakers, and wearable technology, and that's where we see our smartwatches, fitness trackers, things such as that. Consistent with what administrators have thought about before is that consideration is given to the level of disruption that the event causes with their personal electronics. And then, of course, as we have practiced previously as well, additional consequences can be given up to suspension if students are recording, photographing, sharing, or using the device unlawfully. In the Code of Conduct, there is additional guidance that is right in the Code of Conduct for all administrators to see. That way we have a consistent plan across all of our schools on how this misuse is occurring and what consequences are given. So it's spelled out just like this in the Code of Conduct. If it's the first offense, the phone is confiscated. The student will pick the phone up at the end of the day. The incident is recorded in the student's discipline record as Code 802, Inappropriate Use of Personal Electronics. And then additional codes if warranted. So if a student refuses to turn it in or it turns into a bigger event, then the administrator will refer to the Code of Conduct and apply any additional codes or discipline that would be warranted if that was the case. For offense 2, the phone is confiscated. The parent then would have to pick up the phone at the end of the day. No longer will it be returned to the student. And again, depending on how that event plays out, we're hoping our students are going to follow along and turn in their phone with the misuse. But if not, there will be additional consequences. And then offense 3 and anything beyond that, again, the phone is taken by the administrator. Parent needs to pick it up. But at that, and for all of these, it's recorded as Code 802 in the student's discipline record. But for offense 3 and beyond, additionally, the student will have Code 702, insubordination, in their discipline record as well, and be assigned 1 day of ISI. And that's repeated refusal. Insubordination is repeated refusal to follow staff direction. So the disciplinary response, this slide specifically talks about returning the mobile phones, just so we're clear, so everybody's clear on what that looks like. So elementary school students, only the parent can pick that phone up from the school. Middle and high school students, first offense, it's returned to the students. All other offenses after that, it's returned to parents. The parent has to come. An important thing to note with high school students, if your phone is taken away in the morning, don't expect to get it back for one lunch. It is gone for the entire day and to be picked up at the end of the day. And then a little bit of grace for the first 3 days of school only, just for the first 3 days. If a student's phone is taken, it can be returned to the student at the end of that day. So those are the first 3 days of school only. And then that would be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week, and then it's student pickup after the first offense, and then parent after that.
And so reminders for staff, we realize that this is a heavy lift. Many hands make light work, so we're making sure that all staff know that it is the expectation of every single staff member to uphold, model, and enforce these expectations. If they had lessons that included, students using their phones for QR codes or things like that. They can work with their administrators at their schools to alter their lessons, use other forms of technology. We have some amazing instructional supervisors that can give them alternatives to those lessons. And again, the expectation is that staff are not using their phones in front of students while they're working with or teaching students, and upholding these policies just like any other policy with the board. And if we are sure that our staff are going to be professional and follow this, but setting the expectation just like we do for students with any other policy, if you're not following the policy, progressive discipline will go into effect, and we'll follow that as needed. But again, we're putting faith in our staff. We know that they and our students are going to work hard to follow this.
And we want to end our presentation with our video from the superintendent.
So
Before we do that.
before we start this video, all right, because that was what came out of the committee, was like, and then Scott will do a video, but then at the end of it, then Scott will do the video, and then once again, Scott will, I'm like, well, we'll make a video. No, Scott will do a video. So we did a video because, of course, we want to honor the incredible amount of work that everybody has done so far. When we did the video, I had just gotten back from a vacation, and I had a double ear infection, so I couldn't hear, and so the whole time, so please judge the work based on the fact that I had a great deal of ear pain. But we made the video.
I watched it yesterday. It was great.
All right, well.
Sounds like an excuse.
It's certainly an excuse. Except no excuses. Uh-oh. I'm just telling you a little bit more of the story, that's all.
Okay, here we go.
Hello, I'm Scott Smith, Superintendent of Schools for St. Mary's County Public Schools. And I hope you had a great summer. And I want to talk a little bit about what's going to be different for school year 2025. Hold on, wait a second. Oh, no. Well, all right, wait. I'm gonna text him wait, I'm just gonna text him. It's just, all right, talk amongst yourselves. Wait a second. That's really rude, isn't it? Like, we're supposed to be having a conversation, and I'm interrupting myself, and I'm getting on my phone, and I'm texting and everything like that. I'm not really here, right? I'm kind of distracted. In fact, we've been talking all summer long with a very small group of people from all different levels of the school, from school and central office and the community and parents and students. In fact, we sent out some surveys to talk a little bit about just this, about cell phones, because we have a problem. And we need to know that this is a problem that we can solve. Cell phones are a distraction. So for the upcoming year, we are going to really live by our student code of conduct. And the student code of conduct says that cell phones need to be off and away during the instructional day. So for the upcoming 2024-2025 school year, if you're an elementary student, you don't need a cell phone. And quite frankly, you should leave your cell phone. If you do have a cell phone, leave it at home. If you are a middle school student, you can have your cell phone on all the while you are outside of the building, but once you come into the building during the instructional day, your cell phone must be off and away. And for high schoolers, I understand how incredibly integral a cell phone is to your life and your work and all the things that are going on, but we need to have it limited to times when you are not directly in the classroom. So for high school students, that means off and away during the instructional day from the time you enter the school building until the beginning of 1 hour lunch. During 1 hour lunch, use your cell phone, do what you need to do, and then at the end of 1 hour lunch, off and away until the end of the day. Now, can we do it? Yes, we can. Our whole focus for the upcoming year is going to be about being present, being here, hearing each other. And we need to remove the distractions to be able to do so. So we're going to talk a lot about this in the first coming days, and I'm sure that we're going to be able to do this. One of the questions you're going to ask yourself is, well, what if I disregard the rules and I am using my cell phone? Please know that we will be confiscating your cell phone. And the first time, holding it till the end of the day, and beyond that, holding it until a parent or guardian can come pick it up. I am just as drawn to my cell phone as you are. It's not necessarily going to be easy to turn this off and away. But we can do it. We can do it together. And I want to just see what that looks like. Imagine a school, a middle school, a high school, where there isn't any texting going on. There aren't any inappropriate pictures being taken and sent all over. We're not rushing to a fight with our cell phones out and sending that video around. Imagine a school where you arrive, you remove the distractions, and you go to each one of your classes, and you talk to your classmates, and you interact with all the adults in the building. When you walk the halls, your heads are up, your eyes are focused, you see and greet other people. I know we can do it. And I really want that to be our school system next year. So we're all going to work together. We're all in it together. The adults as well as the students. We are all going to try to step away from a cell phone when we're supposed to be with each other, talking to each other, hearing each other, and learning. It's going to be a great year, and I look forward to every single one of the next 180 days with you. Thank you. Ta-da! All right, so you got your video.
Thank you for the
That was
video.
excellent.
Okay.
All right, does anyone have any questions? Yeah.
So with the disciplinary actions, I noticed that you get code 802, the first offense, which stays on your permanent record. I feel like as a student, this could be really harmful because there are a lot of, good students, hardworking students, and, straight A students going to a great college students. Maybe like me that just are on their phones to answer emails or text their parents. And I feel like if they're on their phone in the hallway, yes, it's bad, but I feel like getting something on your permanent record for the first offense might be a little extreme because that is reflected for, the rest of your time in school. And maybe that might be a little unfair to just kids just accidentally, pulling out their phone,
Right.
So I don't know, maybe there could be just no, no record actions the first offense, and then the second offense, I totally understand that because the first time could be a mistake, the second time is repetition.
So I'm glad you brought that up. Let me clarify what I said. It's recorded in under discipline for actions that occurred with the student, but in their permanent discipline file, only are the codes that they were suspended for.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, yeah, so just to clarify that. So if there was no, code 802, there's no suspension linked to that, that is not part of their permanent record. So permanent record is only for suspendable offenses, for actions. If a student was suspended, that becomes part of their permanent record.
Okay. And then I would also like to ask, I know I've been in classes where kids' laptops break down and they can't access their laptop for instruction when teachers have lesson plans on their laptop. So I'll often be in classes where teachers are like, you can have your phone and, access your Google document. That way you can keep up with class and you don't have to do assignments later as homework. Is there some sort of discretion in the policy for when a teacher gives a kid express permission to use their phone to keep up with the class lesson?
So what we need to address is getting them a laptop that works and not using the phone, because we don't want to start that. Yeah, we don't want to start taking the phones out. So it will be the laptop that will have to replace. Or
Okay.
address, I
Yeah,
should say.
I just know
No,
that
yeah.
there's a lot of laptops. I know, especially for my grade. I think I've had my laptop since 5th grade. So there's a lot of, technology issues, which are just natural because, obviously laptops have an expiration date.
Right.
But I mean, pretty much in all of my classes, there's someone with a broken laptop, and I know like it's hard to get people to the help desk. So like in incidences where people put in a help desk ticket, but they're not going to get served, like can they be on their phone to keep up with classwork, or do they need to do that for homework?
We need to address that. I will follow up with our instructional technology department because we do not want them using their cell phones for that purpose.
And we are going through a technology refresh, and we do have additional items at the school for replacement and for fill-in, and there are also, depending upon where they are, there are also iPads, things such as that. We'll really track that the first 3 days just to see where we all are and get up to speed with all of that. The challenge is that as soon as any adult tells any student anywhere in the 2,000 kid arena of Leonardtown that they can pull we'll make an exception for you. You can use your phone, you pull it out. Everybody is going to be like, well, an exception made. I'm exceptional too. So let's all get our exceptions, and then we find ourselves right back to where we are. Accessing a lot of their, I think this is going to be an important conversation for us to have with classroom teachers as we roll this out, to hear how they handle technology in the classroom. Because we certainly heard the examples from children, well, I'm using my phone for instructional purposes. Well, what are those instructional purposes? Well, I'm accessing Schoology. Well, you have a laptop right in front of you to access Schoology. So a lot of it's going to be talking about our digital resources. We are one-to-one. We are investing millions of dollars every single year to upgrade that. We need to make sure that we have a good understanding of it. So we will go back and we will monitor that for the first couple of days. And principals, everybody's going to need to be flexible in the first couple of days to see truly where we are. The largest is as a school system, we've invested close to $10 million on one-to-one technology, wireless infrastructure, laptops, and iPads, and so we should be covered. And if we're not, we need to know where we need to push more devices in.
Yeah, I know. I mean, for especially for like the freshmen, they got new laptops last year, so the rising sophomores should be good, and then the rising freshmen should be good. I think the juniors and seniors, I think I've had my laptop since 5th grade, and I get it. Like, obviously, laptops are expensive, but like, if those technologies were to fail, my worry would be that if kids can't have their phone out, then that means that every single lesson plan that teachers have to make has to also be supplemented on paper, which could be difficult, especially teaching classes like AP Computer Science. Like you're teaching to code, it shouldn't be on paper, or AP Language, AP Research, AP Seminar, all these AP classes, the exams are online, so that the content shouldn't be on paper. And my worry would be for these teachers of having to print out every single activity that they're doing for the day, which would be a lot of waste of paper. But again, I understand the laptop is very just hard to fund, and we've already invested a lot, so I completely understand that as well.
The biggest thing is you're using your personal device, so that's an equity issue as well. So what if you don't have a cell phone? What if your cell phone doesn't have a data package that works the way it needs to work? And once you turn on your cell phone in a classroom, if you're on your own data package, we have no idea where you're going to go. We have no idea what you're seeing. We have no idea what you're bringing into the classroom, because you are completely outside of our entire structure and network and filters. So again, I think your point's very well made. I do want to go back with each one of the schools as they're rolling this out to make sure that we have the resources in the classroom to be able to deliver the instruction that they need.
Okay, thank you.
Just to add, can you text on a laptop? I would think you could. Could you not?
They have a Google Chat feature, but also we restrict what children can send to other children during the instructional day. That's why like children can't necessarily send things directly to other children within the system, because
Gotcha.
that can create its own issue. All of this idea that we have to chat with each other. I have to be able to chat. If I can't chat, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be able to chat. All of that's a distraction, and it doesn't, like, nobody in the middle of a lesson says, oh, in this point I need you to turn on your thing and chat with somebody. Chats are always outside of whatever they're supposed to be doing. And keep in mind that, texting during school when you're in a class can definitely be also a breach of testing security and materials and things such as that. So, again, we're trying to bring it all back in a little bit. So, yeah, the students will certainly be able to communicate, and what a great thing if they, instead of trying to chat with somebody, they talked.
Conversation.
Here. We're going to all be about being here and engaged, which means you're connected, and open, which means you're actually there, so you're open and approachable, and renewed by it. It's very rarely that I'm renewed by a chat from somebody or a text from somebody. More often than not, I'm distracted from what I'm doing and being drawn into a whole different realm of thought than what's currently supposed to be happening. The research is staggering. There is no such thing as multitasking. It doesn't exist. People that think they multitask, they don't. They're just task switching. And some people can task switch really fast, but nobody can actually. Your brain does one thing at a time. So we want to make sure that while you're in a classroom and you're with a student, with a teacher, you're doing that one thing. Again, for the high school, we're only talking about, again, 8 to 12, 4 hours, and 1 to 2:45, so an hour there. So, I think we can. Bob the Builder's right. Can we do it? Yes, we can.
Okay, we have more questions.
I have another question or comment. I noticed on your survey, the responses, on the usage, the students overwhelmingly said I'm texting mostly on my cell phone, and those responses I think were not surprising. To me, if you look at the students versus the staff versus the parents, you see a real wide range, which to me is statistical response bias. I mean, to me it was very obvious, a clear showing that the students perceive the need for that cell phone much different than grown-ups do. The one thing I noticed that you didn't have a category on usage, you didn't have cheating down there. So I'm just joking, but I would think that some people probably might use that to assist in quizzes and tests. The same would be with disruption, not only usage but disruption in the classroom. It was very clear that the kids didn't think it was that disruptive versus the staff and parents. So that's just mainly a comment. The other question I have is, did you get any response back from other jurisdictions that have already initiated the reduction or elimination of cell phones in schools?
So we actually initially started with Washington County. Lisa Bachner had visited Washington County and noticed that students and staff were not on their cell phones. There wasn't even a cell phone present in the building. And when I reached out to them, they said, 2 years ago they implemented this no cell phone policy for staff and students, and it was very easily adopted. Like they didn't have much problem, and they saw discipline drop immensely, and test scores rise. So what they saw is matching what we've seen in the research, that these distractions, once you take them away, there's less fighting, there's more concentration on academics.
That's good to hear. That's all I have.
On slide 18, the code of conduct, the first offense, the parent is not called just to say, hey, we took your child's phone away, correct?
Yeah, parents are always notified when there's discipline.
Oh, okay, so they're always
Yes.
notified, okay. I'm just a grandparent, so I don't get notified for anything. So, okay, no, that's all I had.
Mary?
I want to thank you for the tremendous amount of work that you did. It looks simple here on paper, but I know it was a lot of work. You took into account the students, the parents, the teachers, which is important to have all of that input. You talked about the reasons why we were doing this. You got the responses. You talked about the consequences, the implementation, the signage, and the grace period for 3 days. So it seemed like you covered everything. You did a thorough job. You talked with other school systems to see how they were doing it. And thank you for doing this hard work over the summer. I really appreciate it. When they say we're supposed to be sort of relaxing, but people in education work all the time, 12 months out of the year. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I think to the point about whether or not students, parents, and staff think that cell phones are a distraction in the classroom, I don't just look at where they've said yes. I look at where they say sometimes as well, because I think that is indicative of an acknowledgement that, yes, they can be. I don't want them to be. I don't want them to be perceived that way, but they are. When you look at over 80% or almost 80% of students said that either yes or sometimes they're a distraction. Parents were up over 90%, and staff who are with it, with groups of students all the time, are over 95% saying yes or sometimes. So I think it's a pretty significant acknowledgement across the board that they either are or definitely can be. I mean, this is obviously an issue that is being addressed in a great many school systems across the country. And to date, I haven't read, and I certainly read quite a bit through a lot of different resources. I'm not seeing places where there's this overwhelming hue and cry that this is not appropriate or I don't want this to happen. It is, I think, an acknowledgement. You go into restaurants and you see people in a booth and they're not necessarily looking at each other, talking and sharing a meal. They're on their devices. People come to my house to visit and we're chatting and I look over and somebody's on a device. I'm like, is this not stimulating enough? You know, it is a function of over time, I think we have all adapted to this being a part of our life, almost an extension of our hands. And yes, it will be a sea change, but I think it's a necessary one because I think from what I'm observing, people are losing the ability to have a conversation, an in-depth conversation, whether it's about something fun or family or whatever, or it's a challenging conversation. People have lost that skill set, and I think this will not only go a long way in terms of our students achieving scholastically, but I think that it will also have a positive impact on people's mental health and their socialization. At least that's what I'm hoping for. And I personally, I don't know about the rest of the board, but I would like to, in some fashion, whether it's a communication update or whether it's another information item, for you all to come back and talk to us about how it was implemented, how smoothly that went, but especially mid-year or after. What are you seeing? And what feedback are we getting from either parents or students or staff in terms of the implementation of this and the effect and outcome of it? So I would put that forward as a request.
I'm gonna alter that, Kathy.
Okay.
Because I don't necessarily want to hear from you. I want to hear from Hannah, and I want to hear
Yes.
from Slack. because I know I'm gonna hear about it from my son
Oh, yeah.
who's in high school, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, from a discipline standpoint and the challenges of the administrator, absolutely. But I'd much rather hear from the students
Oh,
at
without a
that
doubt.
point.
Absolutely.
About, you know, and what impact, because if so many, you know, a percent of them said that it was a distraction, you know, and maybe roll the survey out again and see, you know, altered, you know, has this changed? You know, what is the impact now without having, you know, are you more focused? Are you, you know, do you see less, you know, drama, you know, with, you know, someone texted someone that, you know, he saw her with the hallway with whatever, you know. So I think that would probably be a more
Even more
valuable
helpful,
measure
yes.
than just, well, you know, we had 77 referrals because people had their cell phones out in the hallway.
Yeah,
So-
I'm not so much looking
there's
for
there's
referrals, but yes.
another agenda item for your class, and I mean, and even if, and as you have your meetings in high school and middle school as well. So
Well, I would imagine this will drive a lot of the conversations that we have with kids. In fact, I've got a great book study for us. The book's called How to Break Up with Your Cell Phone. And I'm currently about halfway through it. It's really fascinating, and it talks about how a cell phone completely rewires your brain, and how it has absolutely deeply impacted children since 2012. And the biggest thing is that recognize it as an absolute it is an addiction. If you can't step away from something for 4 hours, if not doing something for 4 hours gives you anxiety, if you feel physically different and anxious because you don't have something, there's a lot more there than we need to unpack other than just the rules about whether you're being distracted in schools. That's a real challenge, because this isn't making us more connected. We're not more connected as a people now than we were in the past. As much as people might say, I have, you know, whatever friends I have on Facebook and I have whatever. We're not. We need to be really working on what creates competent thinkers. Public education is to equip you, not to institutionalize you or indoctrinate you. It's to give you the ability to think for yourself. And these devices don't really help us do that. So it'll be really fast. What I'm going to do is I'll definitely include it for all the board meetings. For the superintendent's update, I'll include some bit of data, and then when we get to Ms. Heisler, we'll be talking about, you know, what's coming on the other side, and who knows, very well we might have children that come forward and want to share their personal experiences with the board. I mean, this is what has happened in other jurisdictions when it's been implemented. So we're ready. We're ready.
thank you.
Okay.
All right, our second information item is the environmental education update.
The mouse has disappeared.
Yeah, well, it's on the extended screen, so it's keep on moving it.
I see now.
And there, there, okay, nope, you're back on
But do you see it here?
it's back on the
Yes,
big
I
screen.
see.
Now you want to get it off that screen, then go down. Yeah.
There we go.
Yep.
Sorry about that. Good morning. Mr. Hayes and Dr. Zimmerman and myself are here to give you an update on the environmental education program for 24-25 school year. So the Elms property is owned, which we use for our environmental education at that facility, is owned by the Department of Natural Resources Power Plant Division. And we operate on that under a lease agreement between DNR and St. Mary's County government. In that lease agreement, there is a call for environmental education in which St. Mary's County Public Schools provides that function. However, we are not a part of the lease. The lease is with the county and the state. The current amendment to that lease extends recreational and educational activities through May 31st of 2029. And the county is in coordination and work with DNR on planned improvements to the recreational side and a resulting amendment to that which would extend the lease to 2044. So historically, when we needed to make an improvement to the Elms Environmental Education Center, St. Mary's County Public Schools would obtain approval from our DNR representative prior to completing the work. So in March of 2024, we reached out and wanted to do an update to our Security Intrusion Center. We found that there had been a variety of retirements of the people that we had worked with over the years, and we were assigned someone new. And they were actively wanting to coordinate with us. So we had a meeting with DNR at the site in March. And as a result, DNR decided that the building could no longer be used until elements were improved. So in coordinating the remaining trips for the remainder of the school year at the Elms Environmental Education Center, SMCPF staff, predominantly the maintenance department, provided temporary facilities and accommodations so that we could continue those trips to the Environmental Education Center. We have been actively working with DNR and the county on a path moving forward for a permanent solution to the aging facility. And we have procured temporary storage and office unit for the site for this upcoming school year, and will continue to provide toileting facilities to ensure we're functional for the 24-25 school year.
So Dr. Zimmerman and I are here to talk about those instructional changes for the school year 2025. So taking our cues from DNR, as Ms. House said, the closing of the Elms building has really forced us to reconfigure and rethink how we do our environmental education program for this school year. So in keeping with the Maryland Environmental Literacy Framework, this year our programs will be done in grade bands, so K to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8 for middle school, and then high school 9 through 12. The grades that will participate in the off-site field trips for this year will be 2nd, 5th grade, and 7th grade, and in doing that we are satisfying COMAR for environmental education. Our grade 2 lesson will contain elements of kindergarten and first grade. Since kindergarten and first grade will not be going, we're going to put elements of those lessons into the grade 2 lesson. And the grade 2 lesson will also be aligned to the environmental literacy standards. We have 2nd grade slated to go to Elms during 3rd and 4th quarter, which is March and April of 2025. 5th grade has historically gone to Sauterly. That will continue to happen this school year. They've been a great partner with us. They will be going in the 1st quarter, August through October of 2024, and the students will continue to go out on the canoes down at the little inlet below the building, below the big house, to study ecosystems. So that will continue this school year.
For 7th grade, we really took this as an opportunity to revamp what we were doing at the Elms. We are going to be going to Elms at the end of the school year, really making it fit into our science standards, as well as continuing to incorporate the student service learning hours that are required for 7th grade. Students will be participating in 3 different activities while at the Elms, one of them being engineering practices, which we're really excited about building into the Elms programming and looking at engineering in nature, like spider webs and birds' nests and just different engineering practices, and then how we use that and the human impact and what we learn from nature. So we will also be building the pre and post lessons for the teachers to utilize back at the schoolhouses before going to the Elms and then upon returning. And then for high school, because we've always done our environmental ed during the winter months, our Elms staff go to each of the high schools, go to the classrooms, and deliver the lessons in the classrooms at the high school. So that is going to stay the same and the same time frame.
And with that, we will take any questions you may have.
Anna?
I have no questions.
Does Hannah have
Actually,
any questions?
I'm sorry.
Jim's
No, I think
ready.
environmental education is extremely important and informative for students, and I'm happy to see that we're creating workarounds. That way our kids can still, get environmentally educated, because I think it's really important. So thank you guys.
Dorothy?
No questions, thank you.
No questions.
A lot of us have been to the Elms over the years with our children. For people who have not been at the Elms, and we talk about the Elms Environmental Center, having seen some of the environmental centers from other school systems across the state, I will just say that ours does not, in this instance, measure up. How old is that very, very old house that we are using as the environmental center?
It's a very generous title for that.
Yes.
So what I would say is that while it is not a building of record, it is on the historical list. It has been inventoried. So I don't have the actual date. I don't know that we know the actual date of construction, but it is on the historical list and has been documented.
It wouldn't surprise me if it was pre-1920 at the least.
Yeah.
Given the architecture, I would say I would concur.
Yeah. There was, so the Elms property is 400 and some acres.
Yes.
Some of it is set aside. A part of it is done for recreation, controlled by the county, invested in the county. And then the other side was like, SMCPS, here's your property. We're not on the lease. We don't own the house. We have kids go to the site and have environmental experiences. The house really can't be repaired. It's gonna need to be demolished. And once demolished, there's gonna have to be an investment in that piece of property to truly make it into an environmental center. A little or a lot could be just simply a pavilion type, very similar to what's already being invested in the recreational side. But these are the conversations that we're going to need to have with the county commissioners and the county commissioner group over the next couple of months, because we have a plan to get us through next year. If we don't have movement on it, then we may have to restructure how we develop and how we deliver environmental education in St. Mary's County. There are multiple waterfront sites that we could go to receive the service and to go through all of this. So it's going to be a great conversation. It is not anywhere in any of our CIPs or the Education Facilities Master Plan or anything like that, because it is not our property. We are not on the lease. So we're going to work with the county commissioners to talk about how invested they are in an actual environmental center being put on that site.
Okay. Great work. I know it was a very quick turnaround, short time frame, a lot of moving parts and questions. So not from us, but just questions that were out there. So very good job.
Once again, when you work with multiple agencies, and that's what we're finding is
Right, that's what I'm saying.
the way things are going, the school system is being pushed into kind of negotiating multiple organizations, and all organizations have their own structure and their, so it is.
Do you know why? Because we are steady.
Yeah.
We are steady and organized,
Well,
where sometimes others are not.
Let us hope to continue that.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, with that, our next board meeting will be on Wednesday, August 28th. Executive session at 5 o'clock and the open meeting at 6, and we are adjourned. And do you guys want 5 minutes before we go into the work session? Then we are back in session for the work session on the possession or use of portable electronic and wireless communication devices, policy JDF, first reading. Ms. Law, as I
Yes.
have my cell phone in my hand.
Okay. The first reading, so this presentation will show you the recommended revisions to policy JFDF, possession or use of portable electronic and wireless communication devices. So I just want to give some background on how this came to be for the revision of this. As we had talked about in earlier board meetings, there was a cell phone work group that came together over the summer. Participants from central office, school staff, administrators, parents, students, and our associations met on 2 occasions to review and discuss research and the survey data, and then discuss concerns and solutions regarding cell phone use in schools. And then recommendations were made, and those recommendations impacted our SMCPS policy and regulation. So that's what brings us here today. So as I go through, you'll see there's purple font with a strike through, and those are the recommended deletions for the current policy. And then as we proceed, you'll also see some red font, and those are the insertions or additions to the policy. So the title itself, possession or use of, we are recommending to take out portable electronic devices because that is captured within the definition of wireless communication devices. So it's redundant, basically. It's not needed at this time. So that would be the reason for that. And then the first section of the current policy is the purpose. Again, we are removing those words, portable electronic devices, and just so we have consistent language across all our policies, changing the word assure to ensure. The purpose would be, the purpose of this policy is to establish guidelines for the use and regulation of wireless communication devices during the instructional day at school-sponsored activities, on school buses, and to ensure that these devices are used in an appropriate manner consistent with a positive learning environment in all federal, state, and local laws. And section 2 is the policy statement. So there are revisions here. The first revision you see is deleting the reportable electronic devices. So I'm going to read that statement first, and then I'm going to talk to the other purple information below. So the policy statement will begin with, the superintendent or designee shall be responsible for creating and implementing programs and supporting procedures and guidelines that will regulate the use of wireless communication devices during the instructional day at school-sponsored and school-related activities and on school buses. And you see under that where it makes reference to the site administrator and designee can establish additional procedures and guidelines. Those are the pieces on this slide and then on the next slide that we're removing because we really want these guidelines and procedures to be consistent coming from here, the superintendent or designee. So that's the reason for those deletions. And then continuing on the policy statement, again, you see the purple, the site administrator, we're taking that away. Again, we want it coming from the superintendent or designee. The addition there would be St. Mary's County Public Schools has the right to limit the use of electronic communication devices that impede the instructional climate in the school, create a disturbance, or disrupt the school environment. In the next paragraph, you see the deletion would be, again, the portable electronic. So the revision would read, St. Mary's County Public Schools, SMCPS, assumes no liability for lost, stolen, or damaged personal items of any student, including wireless communication devices. The school system assumes no responsibility for injury or damage related to malfunctioning equipment.
May I ask a question on this slide?
Yeah, yeah, it's a work session, so yes.
So, just out of curiosity, the purple that's struck, the very first paragraph, it says including bus drivers.
Right.
Since students we're saying that they can use their portable devices before or after school, that would include on the school bus. What measures are we going to utilize to ensure that usage, if it's being used on a school bus, that we're ensuring that it can be done so safely and without causing a disturbance or an issue on the school bus, since we're taking away the right of bus drivers to limit those devices?
So, we have a revised regulation. I'm just gonna speak about that for just a minute because we do address part of that, the bus is in that. So in the revised regulation, there's a statement that says, the appropriate use of cell phones are permitted on school buses, subject to SMCPS Student Code of Conduct.
Okay.
And so that's consistent with what's been happening on school buses. If there's a disturbance or it causes a disturbance, then, it's reported to administration and then they apply the code of conduct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, next slide is definitions. That would be section 3. We worked in collaboration with Will Buckmaster, supervisor of information technology. He was part of our work group as well and kind of helped us through this definition and get us up to speed on, I guess, the right language and not outdated language. So we see the new definition here. Wireless communication devices are defined as follows: mobile phones, which are the smartphones and traditional cell phones; tablets, wireless audio devices, which are the wireless earbuds, headsets, and speakers; in wearable technology, smartwatches and fitness trackers. What was deleted was some of that old, outdated language, telephone pagers, personal digital assistants, and things like that. And then camera phone and portable electronic devices, the definitions for those were deleted because they are incorporated in under wireless communication devices. So technology has changed, we just needed to get our definition to match that.
Can we put, I guess, default language, or not default's not the right word, but can we put language in there that in case it's not specifically listed there, that it would still fall under wireless communication? Like, or defined as follows but not limited to. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do. We have, because we have language such as that in our code of conduct, actually.
Right.
Okay.
I mean,
Mhm.
just not that I think that there's the next great thing, but I mean, the last time we updated this policy was 14 years ago, so
Right.
there might, if we're on the same, time schedule,
These
we
will all,
might need
these will
to-
all be implants.
Right,
by then,
exactly,
so
right.
just-
Okay, absolutely. Thank you. And then section 4, expectations for evaluation, review, and updates. This policy will be reviewed and evaluated according to the Board of Education of St. Mary's County review schedule and or as federal and state laws and regulations change.
Anyone
No
have any other
questions.
questions or comments based on?
I would like to ask, so I know like wearable technology is part of that, so would these discipline actions be like uniform for all parts of technology? Because I don't know, I feel like having a cell phone out in class and texting on it is very different than like wearing a watch to school. So I don't know if like it necessarily like would be the same.
If it causes the disruption,
Oh.
so yeah, so if you're wearing the watch, but if you're trying to,
Yeah.
then the appropriate action will occur.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mhm.
So does the bus, go back to what Kathy was saying about the bus driver. I thought we were gonna see something for them on this also. Because I feel like sometimes something could happen that the bus driver's distracted from cell phones and he has to contact the administrator before anything can be done.
So whenever there's an incident.
Maybe I just need it explained a little bit.
Sure. Consistent with what they do now, if there's an incident that happens on the bus, it may cause for the bus driver to have to pull over at the time, or when the bus driver gets to the school site, then they contact the administrator and then the appropriate, actions occur.
Okay, so whatever's in there now
Right.
is what they're falling back on. Okay,
Right.
that's what I
Yeah.
was missing. I gotcha.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
remember that
thank you.
Right, the majority of the bus drivers aren't our employees, so, they're the contractor employees.
Oh, okay.
So that's why we don't that's why they have to contact the administrator, because I don't want a bus driver taking, a
Right,
cell
the phone,
phone
right.
or
Or they
have.
can't.
Exactly, right, but I don't want them, it needs to be through the school system, not.
Okay, got it.
So.
Okay.
And remember
Thank
that we approve policies, but the regulations are set up and are the sole purview of the superintendent. So we don't necessarily go through the regulations, but there is additional information about how to implement this in those regulations.
All right, well, then we can,
That's all I
we'll
have.
we'll take changes and bring them back before
Absolutely.
you for adoption.
Which one?
Oh, Ms. Heisler has a.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, this is sort of along the lines of this, but just kind of a question in general. I know that there are a lot of rumors going around that the SMCPS system is going to be shutting down its Wi-Fi for all non-school devices.
Yep.
I just wondered, like, what credibility there was to this, and if students can expect, like, for example, I bring a personal laptop into school, and so I like heard that it was like, oh, no personal devices in schools. So I just was wondering, like, what we should expect.
So, public Wi-Fi. So you have if you bring a personal laptop onto the school system and you want to attach to our wireless, right?
Yeah, it is currently.
Yeah, so you're authenticated to our server. You're not using the general public open Wi-Fi, right? That machine is inside the wireless system, right?
Right.
Yeah, what we're shutting down is just that there's a public Wi-Fi. I can bring in whatever device I want, and then I'll be able to use it, because we had kids bringing in like iPods and things like that were doing things that they weren't supposed to.
Okay.
For all instructional purpose devices that are legitimately attached to and authenticated to our server, that's exactly what we want. The other problem that we were having is that when you have an open public Wi-Fi, then that is an access point for somebody who wants to get in and do a denial of service attack and things such as that. So we were having issues with that at one of our middle schools. So you're gonna see that we're tightening up a lot of these things, because the cyberspace is getting a lot more challenging. And again, we're in an election cycle, so this is even a more heightened time when people are sending out all kinds of things back and forth and click here and do whatever. So I want to know a little bit more about Wi-Fi for that. But that's what we're doing with the public Wi-Fi. We were moving it back to it had to be authenticated to our system.
So just clarifying, this would mean that students would be able to access the Wi-Fi on their phone at lunch. Like, I know in 1 hour lunch they're allowed to.
I don't believe so. No, you'd have to use your cellular service during lunch.
Right.
But let me go back and check on that. But I'm pretty sure you'd have to use your cellular service during lunch.
Okay, because right now you can get onto your school Wi-Fi on your phone, and so that's what students do a lot of times, especially in Leonardtown High School. There isn't really any service like throughout the school. So like for me personally, I'm on SMCPS I'm on SOS service in all of the high school except for like the entrance. So I was just thinking, if the students can't access Wi-Fi on their phones, then that would mean like at lunch when there's 1 hour where they can catch up and, email their boss and catch up with their family and, I have to pick my sister up from practice, then all of that is going to happen. Like every student's going to flood to the main lobby to try to access that
Well, I will
service.
tell you also, just for Leonardtown specific, the second tower is up and running, so you're going to find cellular service throughout the building.
Yeah, but I think it's
substantially
only Verizon, not AT&T.
Yeah, no, AT&T doesn't. No, Verizon's
Yeah,
got a
so
coverage.
there's only limited numbers of students that have Verizon. So for all the other students that don't have Verizon, then they would be flooding to the main office.
Yeah.
To try to get
They should get Verizon. or not have cell phones. We'll look into that. That's also one of the reasons why in the middle of the day we get crushed with usage, because everybody, like at certain points, we'll have all of these devices on our Wi-Fi streaming video and all this other stuff in it, and then other parts of the system have resource struggles. Yeah, we're gonna have to. Well, that'll be interesting. We'll have to talk through that.
Okay, so I can communicate, like if people are asking me, I can say you can bring a personal device into school. And
It has to be, as long as it's authenticated to,
Yeah.
as long as it's authenticated to our server and we know it's on there and it's under our filters. Like that was, because we had a lot of people that wanted to bring in their own personal devices after the pandemic, but they had to go through the process of having it registered so that we would know that it's on our system, and then it falls under our umbrellas.
Okay, so devices are registered if they're on like the Wi-Fi.
No, you have to go through, there's a process for
Okay,
that.
because when I came in, so for everybody that has personal laptops currently and they're using it, it's just like you just go to the tech people and they put you on the Wi-Fi.
Authenticated, yeah.
So you have to go through a new process. Okay.
Let me go back and check all of that. Check all of that for you. Because this is, I wasn't as read into the conversation about public Wi-Fi and all of that stuff. When they were having that discussion, I haven't spoken directly to Will Buckmaster, so.
Okay, but nothing is changing as far as the Wi-Fi, or other
That's
than
just, as of-
restricting the
No,
public?
I don't
Yeah,
think.
it, we need to.
We need to go back and take a look at all of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
all right.
That's good.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
All right, and with that, you're done.
Cool.